Pharaoh Djet, Wadj, of the early dynastic period in ancient Egypt. Pharaoh Djet, also known as Wadj, was a ruler during the early dynastic period of ancient Egypt, specifically the First Dynasty. His reign, while relatively short, has intrigued historians and Egyptologists due to its position in the formative years of the ancient Egyptian civilization. Djet's era was a time of significant development, both politically and culturally, as the early kings of Egypt consolidated power and laid the foundations for the grandeur that would characterize later dynasties. This text aims to provide a comprehensive exploration of Djet's life, reign, and impact on ancient Egypt. Background of the First Dynasty. The First Dynasty of ancient Egypt marks the beginning of the Pharaonic era, following the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt under the rule of King Narmer. This unification, a pivotal event in Egyptian history, set the stage for a centralized state governed by divine kingship. The First Dynasty, therefore, was characterized by efforts to establish political stability, religious institutions, and monumental architecture. Djet was one of the successors in this lineage, following the reigns of notable predecessors such as Narmer and Jur. Ascension to the throne. Djet ascended to the throne after the death of his father, Pharaoh Jur. The exact circumstances surrounding his ascension are not well documented, but it is believed that he inherited a relatively stable and prosperous kingdom. The transition of power from Jur to Djet would have involved the traditional ceremonies and rituals to legitimize his rule, emphasizing his divine right to govern. Reign of Pharaoh Djet. The reign of Pharaoh Djet is estimated to have lasted for approximately 10 years. While this period may seem brief, it was a time of consolidation and continued development for the fledgling Egyptian state. Djet's reign is primarily known through archaeological evidence, including inscriptions, tombs, and artifacts that provide insights into his governance and the culture of the time. Administrative and political achievements. Djet's administration likely focused on maintaining the stability and unity achieved by his predecessors. This involved overseeing the centralization of power, the management of resources, and the establishment of efficient administrative systems. One of the key aspects of Djet's rule would have been the consolidation of the territorial gains made by his father and grandfather, ensuring that the newly unified state remained cohesive. Religious developments. Religion played a central role in Djet's reign, as it did in all periods of ancient Egyptian history. Pharaohs were considered divine or semi-divine beings, and their rule was legitimized by their close association with the gods. Djet would have participated in religious ceremonies and rituals, both to honor the gods and to assert his own divine status. The cult of the king was an essential aspect of Egyptian religion, with the pharaoh acting as the intermediary between the gods and the people. Monumental architecture. One of the most significant legacies of Djet's reign is his tomb, located at Abydos. Abydos was a sacred site associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife, and it became a prominent burial ground for early dynastic kings. Djet's tomb, known as Tomb Z, is a relatively modest structure compared to the later pyramids, but it is notable for its size and the quality of its construction. The tomb complex included a mortuary enclosure, a tomb chamber, and subsidiary graves for courtiers and servants, reflecting the hierarchical nature of Egyptian society. Inscriptions and artifacts. Archaeological evidence from Djet's reign includes inscriptions and artifacts that provide valuable information about his rule. One of the most significant finds is the stela bearing his name and titulary. This stela, discovered at his tomb in Abydos, depicts Djet in a traditional pose, holding the crook and flail, symbols of kingship. The inscriptions on the stela provide insights into Djet's titles and his role as a ruler. Additionally, various seals and pottery fragments bearing his name have been found at different sites, indicating the extent of his influence. Economic and trade activities. The economy of early dynastic Egypt was primarily based on agriculture, with the Nile River providing fertile land for crops. Djet's reign would have involved overseeing agricultural activities, managing surplus production, and ensuring the distribution of resources. Trade was also an essential aspect of the economy, with Egypt engaging in exchanges with neighboring regions. Evidence suggests that early dynastic rulers, including Djet, participated in trade expeditions to acquire luxury goods and raw materials, such as gold, copper, and timber. Social and cultural aspects. Djet's reign was a period of cultural development, with advances in art, architecture, and writing. The use of hieroglyphics became more standardized during this time, facilitating record-keeping and communication. Artifacts from Djet's reign, including pottery, jewelry, and tools, reflect the craftsmanship and artistic skills of the period. The social structure of early dynastic Egypt was hierarchical, with the pharaoh at the top, followed by a class of nobles, officials, and priests. The majority of the population consisted of farmers, laborers, and artisans. Military activities. While there is limited evidence of military campaigns during Djet's reign, it is likely that maintaining and defending the borders of the newly unified state was a priority. The early dynastic period was marked by efforts to secure Egypt's frontiers and protect its resources from external threats. Djet would have relied on a well-organized and disciplined military to achieve these objectives, ensuring the stability and security of his kingdom. Legacy and historical significance. The legacy of Pharaoh Djet lies in his contribution to the early development of the Egyptian state. While his reign was relatively short, it was a period of consolidation and continuity, building on the achievements of his predecessors. Djet's efforts to maintain political stability, promote religious practices, and support economic activities laid the groundwork for the future prosperity of ancient Egypt. His tomb at Abydos remains an important archaeological site, providing valuable insights into the early dynastic period. Conclusion. Pharaoh Djet, also known as Wadj, was a significant ruler of the first dynasty of ancient Egypt. His reign, though brief, was marked by efforts to consolidate the gains of his predecessors and establish a stable and prosperous kingdom. Through his administrative, religious, and economic activities, Djet contributed to the early development of the Egyptian state. The archaeological evidence from his reign, including his tomb and various inscriptions, provides a glimpse into the life and times of this early pharaoh. As a key figure in the formative years of ancient Egypt, Djet's legacy continues to be studied and appreciated by historians and Egyptologists.